You're all nuts. I mean, last one of you is nuts. I mean, here I am. I'm standing in the brick circle. Do I see a boy in a yellow t-shirt? Do I see imminent death? No, I don't. Every one of you is nuts. There's nothing to worry about. It's perfectly safe to stand right here.
Oh shit, he's real! He's real!
Meanwhile, back in Riverstone. Well, here we are back in Riverstone, and if anyone is wondering, yes, Don Johnson has already rung, but he does not want his jacket and shirts back. He said there's a reason he stopped wearing that garb back in 1987, and if they want to try and bring it back, that's entirely their prerogative, and he wishes them luck. The other thing I'd like to point out about this billboard is it says, if you notice, it says Dave and Jeff, even though it's Jeff on the left and Dave on the right. But if you put Dave second after any name, it sounds gay. Jeff and Dave, Gary and Dave, Hurry and Dave. You get what I'm saying? All right, moving right along. Style Council, lights go out, walls come tumbling down, and welcome back. This is Dancing Dave Riverstone with part 3 of Riverstone's true history revealed for the locals and for those on a more global scale. Fake history exposed, Dave's Nederlanders Australia part 3. And this part revolves around this sign right here. Because believe it or not, this sign right here may be the Rosetta Stone that not only confirms my theory, but blows the lid off everything else like you wouldn't believe. For those who haven't seen my video, Journey to the Centre of Sussex Street, or the one that followed titled Old World Building That Is a Giant Battery, last January I spent a night at the Hyatt Regency in the city, just so I could hang out in the basement, go looking for a tunnel, and find the original ground level before all the city streets were put in. And as you can see from the photos, that's exactly what I did. But I didn't just stop there. I decided to go look under the building as well. And bonus of bonuses, I found this sign. And here's a little sequence of what I filmed at the original ground level, so you'll get an understanding of just how big a bonus it was. And there's Sussex Street at the very same level it was already at in the 1860s and looked anything but brand new, or relatively new, or even 50 years old for that matter. But that was the last video. This is this one. So this is Wharf Lane, or what's left of it now that it's been built over. But Wharf Lane runs down the side of that building there and came out at this sign right here. Why? Because this was Market Wharf. But as you can tell from the sign, this was also where the Corn Exchange was, and it's also where the pigs and cattle were unloaded from the Hawkesbury Bay, strongly implying that when this sign was originally made, I realise it's not the original that's being touched up, but when this sign was originally made, regardless of what year it was, the majority of the country's livestock and grain was coming from the Hawkesbury. Here's a map of how they would have done it. There you go, they take it out of the Hawkesbury, they go out through Pittwater, and they come in, and then they come in through the Heads and bring it to Darling Harbour. And that would have also supplied meat and grain to the majority of ports around the country. So hypothetically speaking, if someone was to invade Australia in the early 1800s, the best way to go about it would be to enter through Pittwater, go down the Hawkesbury, take Windsor, and then block off the country's food supply. And the best time to do it would be late January, when the east coast of Australia between Newcastle and Wollongong gets its king tides, which would allow a convict ship full of troops and enough cannons to get over the shallow section between Webb's Creek and Del Rio under the illumination of a full moon. And if this was to happen, say, around 1813, when Macquarie came in, then the local population, the military, the navy, etc., would not have been aware of the latest advancements with the British naval ships, which actually had a flatter hull as well. Yeah, getting a ship like the Endeavour with enough troops and big enough cannons to scare the shit out of them would have had too deep a hull to get between Webb's Creek and Del Rio, even with the king tides and the full moon. And if you want me to point out one blatant flaw in Australia's history, yeah, I'll start with this painting of Bligh hiding under the bed. What a load of shit. Now let me start by stating the obvious, that is not a photograph. And I'm pretty sure there was no artist standing in the room making out a sketch at lightning speed. Burn the painting if you want Bligh, we still have the original sketches. No, it doesn't work like that. This painting was made to discredit Bligh. Back in the day when the 85% of the world's population couldn't read, if you wanted to send out a story or a message, you put it in a portrait. The portrait told the story. So what was Bligh in charge of? Well, he was in charge of a penal colony, except the penal colony didn't take up the entire continent. It took up a small section south of Sydney. Where? Well, last time I checked, the song went Bound for Botany Bay. I mean, what better parking station for the ships? Okay, so here's the theory. Now that we've incorporated the sign I found under the Hyatt. Britain, already fanning the flames of revolution in France, had said to the Dutch following their truce, "In case you ever noticed, we've got all these shenanigans going on in France. Yes, we're ready to lead to a revolution. Look, we don't want that happening here. If it happens in one kingdom, it can easily spread to another. You know what I'm saying. And the more countries it happens in, the more likely it is to happen in others. Now, yours is all well and good at the moment. However, we do fear revolution. And since you've got all this expansive land and you're only using a very, very small amount of it, how about you let us use that little bit off Botany Bay? Old Cook found it when he was doing the shipping lane through Barrier Reef. Yeah. Anyway, we can use that bay as a parking spot for the ships, and then we can use that section of land around there as a penal colony. We'll call it New South Wales. But it's mostly Welsh we're going to be sending down there. You know, we're always fearing them trying to topple us." And the Dutch or the Flemish or whoever it was that was in charge at the time said, "Yeah, sloot het in." And once they were in, no one questioned the ships going back and forth. But they weren't just sending out prisoners, they were actually sending out troops and training them and getting them assimilated to the area. And then that last fleet, because remember, convict ships didn't come out singly, they came out in fleets. That last fleet didn't have any convicts. It was chock full of troops. In a nutshell, Sir Humphrey will explain it.
We had to break the whole thing up, so we had to get inside. We tried to break it up from the outside, but that wouldn't work. Now that we're inside, we can make a complete pig's breakfast of the whole thing.
How's this for a theory? Riverstone's very first abattoir was a windmill. Well, if you can use a windmill as a sawmill, you can certainly use it to saw off the heads of cattle, can't you? And I'm pretty sure I know where the windmill was. Right, here we are at Mill Street Reserve, City of Blacktown, Riverstone. 10 years from now, it'll probably be known as my grandfather knows Sachin Tendulkar Field, because Australians don't play cricket in winter, whereas the Indians, they play all year round. They pretty much adopted this ground. But more importantly, this here is the site of Riverstone's first abattoir. And Riverstone's first abattoir was a, wait for it, windmill. And how do I know that Riverstone's first abattoir was here? Well, because one, it's not just an oval, it's a reserve, which means no construction or digging can be done on it, so no foundations can be dug up. And two, the street it's on is called Mill Street. And Mill Street is one of two streets in Riverstone between Regent Street and Crown Street that does not have a name that is similar to the CBD or Parramatta. The other street is Piccadilly Street, and that doesn't really count because that was obviously set in honour of Piccadilly back in London. Move the leg above the head and you got a swastika. Yes. There we are, Mill Street. And let's see if we can find the original ground level while we're here. Right, just getting our bearings. There is Mill Street Reserve across the road. Here we are on the other side of the road, and there, down there is the original ground level. So if you want to dig that far down to the cricket field, there's an outstanding chance you will find the stone blocks that made up the original footprint and foundations of the windmill that Mill Street is named after. There's more of the ground level. You know, why dig under when you can build a tunnel and build over, you know? It's pretty simple. Of course, you can't dig into the reserve because it's a reserve. So if Bligh was there at all, then he was set up to be the scapegoat. He did not know what was going on. He thought he was just being governor of a penal colony south of Amsterdamia, for want of a better name. Actually, that is a pretty good name. Well, that's what they would have called Riverstone after they saw a flood for the first time. But anyway, and they no doubt would have had their own cattle. And if the story's about MacArthur trying to set up his own cattle farm are true, and Bligh throwing a tizzy fit and knocking down all the fences, etc., etc., then it wouldn't have been because he was a pedantic asshole and had a stick up his ass. It would have been because, dude, we don't want to piss off the fucking Dutch. They'll kick us out. he had no idea what was going on. Where MacArthur was already reporting where they could have a second source of meat for the troops should there be a protracted battle. And keep in mind, Bligh had already gotten Captain Cook killed. He'd already lost the bounty. I mean, he was the perfect person to say, well, he fucked up. And here's a painting to go along with it. And look at the painting. I mean, back to the painting. Look at the painting. I mean, it looks like it was done in medieval times. They must have been in a real rush to get that painting out, because I know for a fact that by 1818 they actually had a decent artist. And news took quite a while to travel back then. So really, you could lead with the rumours and hearsay and then have a portrait doing a proper tour 5 years later. I mean, that'd be pretty standard. But no, they couldn't wait for Joseph Lycett to show up. And that's the best painting they could get. No wonder the rest of the world thought we were a fucking joke. Oh, and the last detail I have for you, I will pose in the form of 2 trivia questions. The first one, when is Australia Day? 26th of January, of course. Alright, what is the date of the Rum Rebellion? Come on, think about it. What is the date of the Rum Rebellion? Search your mind, search your memory banks. Oh wait, it's not there because we were never taught that. Would anyone like to know the date of the Rum Rebellion? 26th of January. Things that make you go, Things that make you go, Things that make you go, Well, here we are in the haunted house. But it's not like a scary haunted house, it's actually quite beautiful. And I'm the only one he haunts. He actually possesses me occasionally, so I'm really tempting fate just by coming in here. Look, see the size of that door frame? And this is the back of the end of the house, what used to be the original back end, obviously. And look how high the ceilings are in here. Look at the size of the door frame. Look at that. All perfectly crafted carpentry in the ceiling, walls and floors. I mean, look at these floorboards. Look how good they are. Look at the condition they are in. Nothing like Butcher's Row. I mean, do you see any 5mm gaps between there that let cold air through in the middle of winter? No, you don't. Okay. And she's really kept it in period too. I mean, you've got to give credit to the woman who owns this house. She has done a fantastic job with it. Look at that. If it wasn't for the picture of some of her grandchildren, everything would be perfect. No, I'm kidding, they're wonderful. Here we are in the hallway, and once again there's the door frame. Ever notice how houses that are like more than 100 years old have door frames that are much larger than the doors? Has anyone ever noticed that? Oh, that's so you can have a transman let out hot air. Yeah, but the hot air rises. It's still going to be caught in that pocket up there. I mean, that's better than nothing, but still, that makes no sense. Okay, I think I'm being told to leave now. Isn't she wonderful?
This is a sign I got in Bali.
And this is a sign she got in Bali. I mean, we're all about style in this house.
Well, why the big secret? People are smart. They can handle it.
A person is smart. People are dumb, panicky, dangerous animals, and you know it.
What a joker!